Hello, good evening. Wait a minute, I thought he got the energy going. What happened? Well, now the West Indians are in the room. So let's give a round of applause to yourselves for our West Indian, the diaspora. Yes, yes. Are you all in the audience? Yes? Okay, all right. So I'm looking forward to this evening with you all. I'm excited because do you know what month it is? Women's History Month. And I'm sure that you guys have done at least one activity to celebrate Women's History Month. Have you? Yes. Oh, fantastic. Yes. Are there any men that have done that? Have you celebrated Women's History Month? Yes. Every day. I love it. See, that's a great answer. That's what I'm talking about. Well, I'm really excited because this actually culminates a great experience, not only for, I think, for you all, but also for me, because I literally just got back from a Microsoft conference last week where it was 8,000 people, and I would say 7,000 out of the 8,000 were all men. So I am so excited to be with you lovely people, especially you lovely women tonight. And if we can keep the energy going, I would be greatly appreciative. And so I am so pleased and excited, actually, to welcome to the stage Janine Lequay. She is a change strategist, and she's Amazon's #1 new release author. You have to give her more energy, more round of applause than that. Come on. Wonderful. Yes. She's doing things. And speaking of doing things, you are currently in the Do It Change room. Okay? So you're in the Do It Change room. All right. So she has a structured approach that helps individuals and organizations move through change with intention and move forward with momentum. So I know that you all have had different points in your life where you felt a little stuck or you felt a little confused and you needed the motivation or just kind of the assistance or the help to kind of move forward. Have you been there at least once? Never. Well, you had all the right answers. Unfortunately, this is not one of them. So I've had that, which allowed me to change over to tech. I moved from healthcare during COVID to tech. And I would have loved to have a Do It Change method to help me through. But now that I'm in this space, I know that I'll be using the Do It Change method. So I'm excited for you all to learn what that is. So if you haven't read the book will be available for you. And you'll also get an opportunity to have a couple questions for Janine a little later on. Okay? Yes? All right. We're in this together, right? Okay, fantastic. So let me bring to the stage an author, a change strategist, and the creator of the Do It Change method, Janine Lequay. Hi, Janine.
Thank you for the warm welcome. I appreciate it. So many lovely faces.
Yes.
Many that I know, many I don't know. So thank you for everyone coming to join us tonight.
So I know they have some questions, but so do I.
Yeah, sure.
And so when I was looking at this book, I realized that Do It is actually an acronym.
It is. Yes.
So can you tell us what the acronym actually stands for?
Sure, absolutely. So the Do It Change method was developed because with my background in corporate change management, I realized that there's a process that corporations follow to roll out significant changes to the organization. And when I kind of sat back and I said, well, if corporate is investing billions of dollars every year, what do individuals do? Right? How do we navigate change? So I started asking around a little bit and, hey, how do you navigate change? How do you navigate change? And I realized nobody had a real way that they were doing it. We were all just kind of pushing through and trying to make our way. I think we should probably have a seat. We don't stand up this whole segment. Yeah, get comfortable, right? And so I, just kind of querying it and sat back and I was like, people would generally come to me and ask me, I want to move out of state. What do you think I should do? And I'm like, do it, right? And that was always my thing. Or, I don't know, I want to change careers. What do you think I should do? I'm like, do it, right? So as I was sitting through it, I was like, man, if I can come up with an acronym that's easy for people to remember, that's something that can, resonate with people, then I think that's kind of the angle that I need to take here. And so that's how Do It was born. And it stands for discover and own, which are our planning stages. And then I and T are implement and transform, and those are action phases. So the entire book is really about the do it change method in each phase and how, as you go through each phase, it'll help you navigate transition with intention.
Wonderful. Okay, so we need to remember that. We need to know that D stands for
Discover.
discover.
Yep.
O stands for
Own.
great. I stands for
Implement.
and T stands for
Transform.
transform. Did you guys get that? Okay, with me. Discover,
Yeah.
ownership,
Mm-hmm.
implement, yes, and transform. All
We
right.
have a quick group.
You
I
guys
like
are on
it.
So one of the things I recognize whenever it comes to change, I think one of the biggest issues that people have with change is fear.
Yes, absolutely.
You're scared. You're like, what's going to happen? Am I going to die?
Yeah, right.
No, you're not going to die, but you may have to take a couple steps back to move forward. So how do you address fear?
Sure, absolutely. So in the book, I talk about the fact that fear is actually normal. So that's the first thing, is understanding that fear is normal, being nervous is normal, the way your body reacts is normal. And oftentimes we think that those are indications that it wasn't a good idea, right? Or maybe this isn't the right thing I should be doing. But that's actually just our body responding to uncertainty, right? Our bodies we are comfortable, right? So we like to stay in that space, whatever we're comfortable with. So it could even be a change that you really want. So think about a job that you've always wanted or the next, move, something that you wanted to do. What happens? You still get nervous. You still get scared. You are still fearful because then you start to question yourself. You start to think, am I capable? Am I qualified? The armpits start sweating and, it's you get nervous and you start shaking and goosebumps. All of that is perfectly normal. Again, that's our body just reacting to the unknown. And so I think the first step is understanding that. And once you understand that, and again, you do due diligence and walk yourself again through the framework, you start to realize that, again, this is normal and it's still something that I can accomplish. And you put that fear aside.
Got it. So now part of the fear is also imposter syndrome. Anybody here familiar with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so with imposter syndrome, is there anything that you could recommend us being able to implement to be able to get over that part of the fear?
Absolutely. So again, in Discover, that first phase of the framework helps you really identify, ask the right questions. Oftentimes we say we want success. What does success mean, right? Or I want to be rich, or, I want to be happy. What do those things really mean? And so when you actually take the time, take a step back, and you said sometimes we have to take a step back and we ask the right questions and really understand, is this something that I would like to do? And if it is, why would I like to do it? And of course, that's for change that we've chosen, right? And there's also times when there's change that we didn't choose. So again, when we ask ourselves the questions surrounding that change, how do I feel about it, right? What control do I have in this situation? Because oftentimes, again, in a change we didn't choose, we feel like we have no control, like we don't have any choices, but we do. We always have a choice. So when we ask those again questions, we understand where we are in the space, identify the reality, not what we would like to be, right? But the reality of the situation, then we're able to really come to terms with where we are and meet imposter syndrome and say, you know what? No, I am ready. Or I know I'm scared, which is okay, but these are the steps I'm willing to take. This is a choice I would like to make. And when you take control and you take back ownership of the choice, then imposter syndrome becomes something that was, in the past and not moving forward.
So for those of us who have ever been stuck at a certain point, what is one small actionable step that we can take to move forward?
Sure. Again, ownership, right? Understanding that you have a choice in how you would like to move forward. So being stuck is something that we all experience, and it can be applied to any change, right? So it doesn't matter what it is, but sometimes, again, we question ourselves. Do an inventory, right, of what are choices do I have? And oftentimes when we're stuck, what we realize is we feel stuck and we're not happy in the situation. So what's the alternative? Right? Am I going to choose to stay in something that I'm unhappy about, right? Or I'm uncomfortable with? And so when you start to take inventory of what the choices are, I would say take little steps, right? Oftentimes in our mind, we think that it has to be something huge. All right. So I'm glad that you asked about little steps. So that's something I talk about in implementation. It's not about taking big steps. We think that change is linear. And once I make a decision to move, then tomorrow I have to have an apartment, right? And I have to be in this new place. And that's not the case. Start to do some research. One small step is
Okay.
exactly what it takes. And you, with consistency, taking small, little steps, that's when you start to see the change come through.
So now I find all of this fascinating because I love self help. So I'm really curious as to what got you on this path. Like, what started this for you? What was your moment where you said, you know what, I need to do this?
Yeah, I appreciate that question because when I took a step back and really thought about it, I was wrong. A lot of times I was like, oh, I'm just good at change and I just navigate and I just always, move. But at one point, I was laid off at the end of December 24 and I was ready to just jump back in, start, looking for something else. And I decided not to do that. So I took a step back and I was like, well, it has to be something in change because I'm good at change, right? Because I always just change. And in that time, I came across, it was actually a Facebook post. And I was like, look at something that is a strength that you consider a strength and identify how that same thing can be an hindrance to your growth. I was like, yeah, that one kind of hit me hard because like I never thought of something as a strength, also as a hindrance. And my adaptability and my ability to navigate change was that thing. And so I started to realize that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I'm always able to just kind of go from one thing to the next. So as things happen, I just take it and I move on. But for that same reason, I don't commit and actually give due diligence to things. I'm ready to jump to the next thing instead of taking my time and working through something. And so that really kind of, mind blown moment for me. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. And so once I was able to tap into that, take a step back, not just go into the next thing, not just go into the next role, it took a few months and it was hard. It was hard for me at first because I'm not used to slowing down. And then in my slowing down, this came about, and so I started running full speed. I was like, "Oh, I have this idea, now I'm just gonna run with it." And my husband's just looking at me, and he's like, "I could have sworn we just said we're gonna slow down," you know? And life has a way, a lot was going on, and, I have 3 kids, and he was traveling a lot, and so I really had no choice but to slow down and to take that step back, and that's when clarity kind of started coming to me because now I had time to think, I had time to process, I had time to really map things out. And this method actually helped me from a corporate perspective. I was like, oh, yeah, I know it. I've been studying it. I have been doing this. This is my experience. I know it. I've been doing it for 15 plus years. But from an emotional perspective, again, because I'm always just jumping, I never really felt it myself. And this framework helped me when I really needed it to work through, that change that I was navigating. So, yeah, it was an exciting time.
I can imagine. So, with it being Women's History Month,
Mhm.
and then you going through these different changes to get to this place,
Yeah.
has there been a woman that has inspired you?
Oh, that's such a good one. So actually my mom, who's
Okay.
no longer with us, and so I will not get teary-eyed because I'm gonna talk very quick through this segment. But my mom, she didn't have the opportunity to do a lot of the things that she wanted to do in her life. Unfortunately, she passed away early, and it's a really tough time for me. So I was just like, you know what would mommy say? What would mommy do? And she's always been my inspiration. So yeah.
Wonderful. So, what's next for you?
Yeah, really just pushing, right? The do it change method. And so the change is something that impacts everybody. And of course, I keep getting the question, who's your target market? And I've started, we're in Women's History Month, and I've started with women, but it's for everybody who experiences change, right? Which
Right.
literally is everyone. And so, I mean, the world is so vast. I believe there's so much impact to be made in this space. Change is something that we talk about. You hear it all the time. Change is inevitable. The world is changing so quickly. All of these, sayings and phrases that we're hearing. But when have we ever stopped and really thought through all of the changes and transitions that we go through on a regular and consistent basis? It's something that we've been doing since the start of time, right? And I say that change is the evolution of the individual. right? So when we look at evolution over time, this change that we're constantly seeing, like we are developing, growing as individuals. And so my goal is really to change the conversation around change and get people to stop looking at it as just disruption and more so like this is life, right?
Yeah.
And if we found a way to ground ourselves in the change, which is what the framework helps us do, then we'll be more effective at being able to navigate that space.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
So I think this is a great time
Yeah.
to go to the next segment.
Absolutely. So, which I'm super excited about because, as you said, in Women's International Month, as women, we go through so much, especially when we're in positions of power, in positions of leadership. And there's so much that we go on behind the scenes that we never talk about. So, that really is where we're going into this next segment. And I can't wait to have the conversation.
Yes.
So, thank you so much, Leanne, for
Thank
sharing this
you.
time with me and with the
for having
questions.
me.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. Oh, can we take a quick picture? Oh. Mhm. Great. Thank you. All right. So I am honored, and I can't even tell you how honored and excited I am to share the stage with Miss Chinyere Hubbard. She is the president and CEO of the DC Chamber of Commerce. So when we started this and we're like, okay, we're going to do something in DC, and I got the opportunity to have Chinyere, I couldn't even contain my excitement. I was like, what? She's going to meet with me? So, Chinyere J. Hubbard is the president and CEO of the DC Chamber of Commerce, as I previously stated. Her commitment to supporting and advocating for chamber members reflects her passion and vision for growing the organization. By working with the executive team and board of directors, Hubbard develops programs and services that position the chamber as a valuable resource and leading advocate for businesses throughout DC. Prior to joining the chamber, Hubbard served as a chief marketing and strategic communications officer for the Greater Washington Partnership, a first of its kind alliance uniting CEOs and C suite leaders in Maryland, Virginia, and Washington, D.C., to collaborate on building a vibrant, economically competitive, and prosperous region. The partnership focuses on skills and talent, regional mobility and infrastructure, and inclusive economic growth. Previously, she was the Senior VP of Communications, Marketing, and Community Engagement for Events DC, the official convention and sports authority for the District of Columbia. So without further ado, I would love to welcome you. Thank you so much. All right. Like I said, I'm super excited to share the stage with you. Here's your microphone here. Yes. Yep. Thank you. So, Chinyere, we were talking. I was actually invited yesterday to DC Chamber of Commerce happy hour. And I mean, it was such an amazing event, met so many wonderful people. And Chinyere and I were talking, and, we were just kind of talking about today. And I said, this is really a casual conversation about your journey, right? And all of the invisible transitions that people did not see behind the scenes. So that's where we're starting. So if you can give us a little bit about what your leadership journey has been like to get to where you are.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Great to see you all. Um, and as the speakers before, more energy than that. Good
Right.
evening, everyone. Yes, it's Friday night.
Right.
Yes. And we have a couple more days of Women's History Month. So delighted to be here. Thank you for inviting me and having this conversation. Because when we did talk last night at the happy hour, I thought it was the other way around. I was interviewing you. And I'm so used to being in that role. So this is an honor. As Janine said, I'm Chinyere Hubbard, the president and CEO of the DC Chamber of Commerce. And I have been in this role just a little over a year. My career actually took a few strategic pivots, though. I feel like some of our lives were a little parallel. Our mother is our inspiration. I lost my mother 10 years ago.
Sorry.
And 3 children and my career, though, started actually in television and broadcasting. I thought I was going to be a White House correspondent and then went into producing, started in politics and went into Hollywood, where I was interviewing celebrities, covering the Oscars, Grammys, interviewing every celebrity from Eddie Murphy, Beyonce, Tom Cruise, you name it. Then moved back to Washington, D.C. My husband wanted to work on Capitol Hill. And because I was in Hollywood for so long, I was like, well, what am I going to do back in D.C.? Although D.C. is my hometown. I'm a native Washingtonian. Yes. and was excited to come back, but thought, well, what will I do since I've been working in Hollywood for so long? And worked at the DC Sports and Entertainment Commission. We were responsible for building Nat's ballpark. That was our project. We finished under budget, on time,
Wow.
and then I moved from there, and it was at my office was at RFK Stadium, which is now gone and getting ready for the new stadium.
Yes.
But I then moved to the convention center and stayed there, as you said, for 15 years, and then moved to Greater Washington Partnership. So been a part of the business ecosystem. And when this opportunity came about, I was a little apprehensive at first because it was my first CEO role. And I went from what I call CMO to CEO.
Yeah.
But I thought about it, I prayed about it, talked to my husband, my children, and decided to say yes to scary. So it was a bit of a strategic pivot. I had been a part of the business ecosystem, but it was an opportunity to be a part of an organization with an 87-year legacy that had done so much for the business community here in Washington, D.C., my hometown, a city that shaped me, and thought this is a chance to build on that momentum. And I come from a family of business owners, small business owners. So I jumped at it, and it has been definitely a year of many headwinds,
Yeah.
many challenges, but also a lot of opportunity.
Definitely.
And over the last year, what everybody sees kind of in front, you saw the wonderful happy hour. We've had several legislative wins. We have had amazing events. We've had a sold out gala last November. We have brought in a record number of new members. Craig Dean in the audience can testify to that. Craig, thank you. Has been responsible for bringing over 250 new members to the DC Chamber.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, we have a very small but mighty team. So people are shocked that when I took this role, there were only 3 people on the team.
Oh my God.
And I walked in like, this is all I had? How are we going to do all this? But we work hard, we work smart, and we're efficient. We've now since grown the team by 3 more people,
Okay. Yeah.
which has been great. But it has definitely been a journey, but a really positive and exciting journey.
Thank you. Wow. I mean, you are so decorated. You've done so much. So that's amazing. I would like to ask, so you made said a phrase. You said yes to scary, right? What did that look like for you, right? Because we're talking about imposter syndrome. We're talking about all the things kind of that happen behind the scenes. What did yes to scary? What was that process for you?
So being behind the scenes for so long and supporting other CEOs, lifting other CEOs up for so long, and being the producer, being the writer, being the one that prepped all of my CEOs for interviews like this or major events. It was a little different to switch and be now the accountability, your tone, your presence, and the buck stops with you now. And it's about your vision and your leadership. And so it was a bit daunting, but then it was, just going out on that limb, taking that chance, taking, kind of what you said earlier about do it and the acronym and ownership and transforming and just being intentional about what that next step looks like in your journey. And I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Yeah. And I said yes to scary. And I knew that it was about the rebuilding. There was a lot of rebuild over the last year, and it was rebuilding the team, making sure you have a team you can trust, making sure I had support at home because I work a lot. And 3 kids and 2 kids at the time who were one in college who plays D1 basketball. And a little plug for my son. Because we're in March Madness. Although he's not in it, but it's okay.
My heart did too.
Next year. And my daughter applying to colleges, and she's at Spelman. So hats up to, I'm proud of her. But it was a challenging time. And then a 12-year-old at home as well. And I was so used to being able to do it all and balance it all. But now it was jumping into this new role at a very challenging time and a challenging time for our city. But again, saying yes to scary, not being afraid of fear, not being afraid of failing at all, and stepping out on the limb. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are. So I want to tap into, you're talking about mother of 3. As you said, I am as well, right?
Exactly.
Younger, right? Younger kids right now. And of course, for women, the traditional roles that we play, right? Something that we still assume, right? Many of those traditional roles. How did you navigate? And you just said, I did it all. So, what did that look like for you? Being a mom of three, raising children, of course, you want to ensure that you provide the best opportunities for them, but also wanting to be there to support them. So, what did that journey look like? How did you balance, right? So, again, what did that behind the scenes look like for you?
Yeah, it is. It takes a village, and a wonderful village
Mhm.
of best friends, godparents, my father. I'm the oldest of five.
Mhm.
So my siblings were all spread across the country, but when they are here, we all support each other and we all have children. And we were all in this together.
Mhm.
And so it was definitely, it takes a village. I had my secret weapon. My husband is a wonderful support system, my coach behind the scenes,
Yeah.
and my sounding board. And then also having a mind trust of people I can count on, a sounding board, kind of my mini kitchen cabinet that I can lean on for support.
Yeah.
But it was a juggling act.
Mhm.
And because you want to show up for the performances at school and the sporting events, the basketball games,
Mhm.
having kids who've played basketball, and my daughter in theater and public speaking events, and having kids at one point they were in three different jurisdictions around the region. I had one in DC, one in Maryland, and one in Virginia school. So it
Wow.
was definitely a balancing act, but it
Yeah.
took a village,
Mhm.
a lot of prayer,
Yeah. Right.
and but we got through it.
Yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And so, I want to kind of tap into that a little bit more about taking a village. So, as women, we carry so much and we feel so guilty, right? So, for example, my 5-year-old yesterday lost her first tooth. And this is the first milestone I've missed. And I told him I like felt horrible. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so horrible. I'm thinking it's gonna like ruin her life that she's gonna remember her mom did it, wasn't there for her first tooth. But we carry so much on our shoulders, right? And even saying it takes a community, hearing that from you and saying, like, for me to get to where I am, it took a community. And I think a lot of us need to hear that because we feel guilty asking for help. We feel guilty saying it's too much. I can't do it all, right? And for me, that kind of led to where I was last year. So I just felt like I have to do it all and I can do it all. So I'm juggling, but eventually you realize you can't, right?
Can do it all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can have it all.
Mhm.
And you
Mhm.
absolutely can. But you're
Yeah.
right. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Ask for help.
Lean on your community. I
Mhm.
mean, I like what the general manager said earlier. This is a place for community.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure we embrace that
Yeah.
and we're lifting each other
Mhm.
because it can get lonely at the top.
Yeah.
What I have experienced. And sometimes as you evolve, not all of your friends evolve with you.
Completely. Mhm.
And so you have to just make sure you have a trusted community. You have people and women, especially, we need to be lifting each other.
Mhm.
We don't need to be stabbing each other behind the back. We
Correct.
need
Yeah.
to be supporting each other and
Yeah.
make sure because it can be tough out there
Mhm.
as a working mother.
Yeah.
So I definitely I lean on my community. I have a wonderful team in the office.
Mhm.
I have a wonderful board. Vita Ali is on my board.
Yeah.
So I appreciate all of her support constantly, even when she sends one message, "You're doing a great job. You look great in those 6-inch heels."
Yeah.
It lifts me up so
Yeah.
much, and it means a lot when you think that this is probably my 6th event this week. I
Yeah.
think I've saw my 12-year-old twice. He
Mhm.
may have had McDonald's and chicken nuggets 3 times
Yep.
for the DoorDash, but
Yep.
it's okay.
It's
You know,
Yep.
I used to feel guilty about that
Yeah.
the first time. Oh my gosh, you can't eat chicken nuggets.
Exactly.
Eat a 3-course meal and vegetables.
Yeah.
But I've learned to just let it go. He will be
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
And I will be okay.
And have a good
And I've
Mhm.
learned to take advantage of self care and make
Mhm.
sure that knowing self care is not selfish.
Yep.
And so I
Yeah.
have a massage booked on Sunday.
Lovely. You deserve it. Yeah, no, you were talking about how many events. Oh my gosh, I can't even keep up. Like, just like I had this and I came from this and I went I'm like, what? I cannot even imagine. So
Yes.
no, it's
We
a
had a
lot.
candidate forum on Monday. We had a women's luncheon on Wednesday.
Yeah.
We had our happy hour Thursday, and then we have council hearings over the
Mhm.
last couple of weeks, and other panel discussions with Women's History Month. So it
Yeah.
is very a busy time, but
Absolutely.
this is one I did want to
Oh,
prioritize.
thank you. No, I appreciate that so much. And hearing you say, so again, this is the Do It Change Room, and I didn't talk to it too much, but it's a podcast that we are beginning. And the reason for it is because, again, we don't have these conversations. I don't know how many of you have actually heard someone of, your stature and everything that you've accomplished say, Yeah, it's a juggling act, right? There's so much, and that I do sometimes have to say it's okay if my son eats, McDonald's like that, and mine too. Mine are Chick-fil-A though. There's like
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A bosses. Oh
He
my
does
gosh,
like
yeah.
Chick-fil-A. Yeah, I
I
should
mean
say
that is
Chick-fil-A. Yeah.
My husband now is like no more Chick-fil-A. It's like
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the preference.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
preference, right? But hearing you say that at literally like gives me a okay, right? You can actually like breathe because again, you're feeling so tense all the time, thinking, I'm failing here, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. So that's the whole purpose of the Do It Change room is so we can strip the, beautiful exterior with your 6-inch heels. And she is so serious. She wears 6-inch heels. Every time I've seen you, like the heels, and I'm like,
Although
how
these
is
are
she
only, I
doing
think,
this?
for
Yeah, those
yeah.
aren't that
Yeah,
high.
yeah.
Like when I saw you Wednesday, I'm like, how is she walking in those? Yeah, but we need to have these spaces, like you said, community where there's no judgment, where you feel comfortable and you're able to say, this is a really difficult time for me, or I'm trying to navigate this. I don't know what to do. Do you have any recommendations without the judgment? So, which lends me into my next question is, you again look beautiful and we, we do our hair and our makeup and we step out, right? But what about what you're feeling behind? How do you what's your ritual when you don't feel like stepping out, when you don't feel like having that conversation or putting a smile on your face? What does that look like for you?
Well, I am a child of God first, a
Mhm.
Christian, devoted Christian. So I pray every morning.
Love that.
I take a few minutes to meditate in the morning. I get up very early before right now, there's just one child at home. I'm used to having a very busy, crazy life with 3 children, and now
Mhm.
with my lonely only.
Yeah.
And he and my husband sleep a little late.
Yeah.
So I take advantage of the mornings
Nice.
and I relax and I
Mhm.
meditate and I pray and I get on with my day. And when I can, I try to get some workouts in. I'm a little behind on that. Uh,
Okay.
but that gets me through
Nice.
a lot of it. And then I'm very close to my siblings. We
Mhm.
talk every day or we're in a group chat. We send inspiring messages to each other to get us through.
Yeah.
And that really helps me get through the day. And I
Absolutely.
can't wait to read your book to find out
Oh, thank you.
what else
Yeah.
I should be doing that I'm
Yeah.
not doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just trying to be intentional
Mhm.
about making space
Yeah.
for me
Mhm.
and for just understanding kind of that this journey isn't always easy.
Yeah.
And there are going to be times where you may feel like
Yeah.
overwhelmed,
Mhm.
but we make it to the other side.
We do. We
And
do. Yeah, yeah, and in the book, that's a big part that I talk about, right? Again, change is not just a straight line. It's the ebbs and flows. It's the ups and downs, right? So sometimes you're going to feel great about it, and other times you're not. Other times you're going to question again the decisions that you make. But that's all part of it. And then eventually you see yourself on the other side, right?
Mhm.
Transformation, and this is another piece that we talk about a lot. I think the movies in Hollywood has kind of given us this, that the skies open up, right? And you're like, oh, I'm transformed, but it really doesn't happen that way, right? And oftentimes, transformation is in hindsight. You realize that you are in a new space. You realize that you are changed in some way, shape, or form by looking back and saying, oh, wait a minute, now I work out 3 times a week. I never used to work out, but I've been doing it consistently for this, or now I'm 10 pounds lighter, whatever the case may be. You see that on the other side. And again, usually it's in hindsight. You look back and you're like, oh, I've gotten to that other side. So,
Although I'm 10 pounds heavier.
oh gosh,
So I need to get
right,
10
is the
pounds
right on that.
lighter now.
Don't worry, small steps. We're just like some baby steps, right? Oh no, I appreciate that. And so, what we're going to wrap up this segment, Chinyere. Appreciate you so much for being vulnerable and sharing this with us. What would you like people to know about this level of leadership? What do people not see? Right, at when you achieve this level of success, when you are leading, and so many people are leaning into you and expecting so much of you, right? So it's actually a two-part question because expectation, right?
Mhm.
How do you manage the expectations people have of you, right? And then the other part is what do people not see when these levels of leadership?
Yeah, and that's a great question. Because I say yes to everything,
Mhm.
much to my team's chagrin. Peter's like, "Wait, we're doing another event?"
Right.
I said, "Well, we have these goals, and we
Yeah.
must do it." So I
Mhm.
says everything, but I am an empathetic leader.
Mhm.
I care about everyone. I care about other people's feelings
Yeah.
a lot. I'm also an authentic leader,
Mhm.
and sometimes that may not always come up you know, is not as visible for some in the leadership because you have to be so authoritative
Mhm.
and make decisions, and that don't always make everybody happy.
Mhm.
And you can't please everyone. And I've had to learn that.
Yeah.
And so behind the scenes, there's a lot of, behind the scenes, there can be some decisions that are made that may not always be in everybody's best, what everybody thinks are in their
Yeah.
best interests,
Yeah.
but you just have to be able to be confident
Mhm.
and be authentic and be true to your mission.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I try to display every day.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. And my last question. This is a big one. Yeah.
Swear I was not prepared for
I
that.
know.
I
I was
thought
over.
you
You're
would
right.
do.
So, what would you say is one of the biggest transitions that you've experienced? Right. So, it could even be from like way back, right? Wherever it was along your journey. What would you say is kind of the most impactful transition and also the most difficult for you to navigate?
I think one of the challenges was moving from LA to DC
Mm.
and just experiencing, it was just different culture, different work rhythms. That was an adjustment. But really from CMO to CEO, which I thought would be more of an adjustment, but a lot of the skills that you have as a chief marketing officer and as a communication professional are really very crucial in a role as a leader.
Yeah.
It's communication. It's learning how to communicate with people. It's learning how to write. It's those soft skills
Yeah.
that a lot of people don't always understand or have been able to master. And so that was a little bit of a challenge, but also something that I was able to, uh, take on pretty smoothly
Yeah.
from the marketing role to a chief executive officer. But coming into an organization that did have a very small staff, and I was used to bigger teams with bigger budgets. So learning how to adjust to trying to still achieve certain goals and objectives and ensure that your members are feeling value. We have 1,000 members. The DC Chambers is the voice of business. For many of you who may not know, we represent businesses of all sizes, small, medium, or large. So if you're a business owner, you're not a member of the chamber, shameless plug, join the chamber. But it's making sure, because we were dealing with such challenging times, you had to show up and show the bright spots. It couldn't be all doom and gloom.
Right.
Everything that you were hearing with federal downsizing, the National Guard presence, budgets cut. I mean, it were very challenging times and very challenging for our business community.
Yeah.
So how can we still show up, make sure that our business owners still had opportunities amidst all the chaos?
Absolutely.
And so that was something that we had to just push forward and in really encourage our business community and stay positive constantly.
Yeah.
And so that was a challenge, but it was also an opportunity, and it really tested kind of my willpower and positive energy.
Absolutely. And to that, exactly what you just said, stay positive. There's so many of us, myself having gone through it, who again have been laid off, right? And who have experienced the realities of the space that we're in, right? And it is a hard time, but having people like yourself encouraging and uplifting and the community, tapping into each other, that's really what we need right now. So thank you so much. I
Yeah.
think we have come to the end of our segment. So thank you for the time. Yeah. So thank you. I know we have to take a sip of thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's give them another round of applause. So excited to meet you. And I'm so sorry I didn't get a chance to introduce myself when I came on stage. My name is Lee Angus Winfield. I am a former Miss DC. So, along with being here in the nation's capital, we also have our local town here as well. So, you're also from this area as well, and also Ms. Lequay. Yep. And so, but we're also going to we're pleased to honor someone who's also a local legend, She is Miss Virginia Ali. She is the co-founder of Ben's Chili Bowl. And she was born in December 17th, 1933, and she is of African American and Native American descent. She moved her family to DC in the 1950s, excuse me. And after moving to Washington, she worked as a teller. And then she and her husband, of Trinidadian origin, opened Ben's Chili Bowl on U Street in Washington, D.C. And so during the 1968 Washington, D.C. riots following the death of King, she kept the Chili Bowl open as the request of Stokely Carmichael. How amazing is that? Miss Ali has served on the board of several organizations, including For the Love of Children. And so we are honored today to recognize Miss Virginia Ali as she makes her way to the stage, because she is a true testament to the silent transitions of women in leadership, navigating with grace, elegance, confidence, and intention. And she can also make a fantastic pot of pilau. Let us not forget. And so we thank her for enduring contributions to the community that she also holds so close to her heart. So it's an honor. It's an honor to be able to award her today. Let's give her a round of applause, please. Can we all stand? Let's stand as we... Congratulations. Wonderful. And also, we want to thank her family for bringing here. It's wonderful to see you as well. And so while you're all standing here, give yourselves a round of applause as well for being here. And of course, we have to have an Oprah moment for you all as well. There are bags that are there on your chairs, and each bag has a gift of a free book of the Do.ITChange method. And there's a journal in there as well. And if you would love to get a free autograph, please feel free to meet Janine over at the table at the end of the event. But we also do have a moment in time. You can sit now. Thank you. That's the part I keep. I'm just so excited to be here. And we'll have her sit as well for questions that you have. Because now is a great time.
Thank you.
To think about those questions. And while you're thinking about the question you want to ask her, we're going to have a video clip of Miss Ali and all her wonderful contributions.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. I'm in a little disadvantage.
Just one of our nation's most iconic restaurants, and this was a bit of a homecoming for you.
That's right. About 40 years ago, when I was working in Washington, D.C., I still remember eating at the legendary Ben's Chili Bowl. It's a place that's built on family, history, and of course, chili. And I got to go back after all these years and found that some things truly never changed. No matter who comes to Washington, they haven't eaten in Washington unless they've come to Ben's Chili Bowl.
We knew we wanted it to be a gathering place, and it turned out to become that kind of place.
Here in our nation's capital, Ben's Chili Bowl has welcomed everyone from the biggest names to the tiniest appetites. In 2009, a presidential seal of approval for Ben's signature half smoke, a grilled sausage topped with chili.
It's terrific.
It all started 65 years ago, before all the fame, when Ben Ali, an immigrant from Trinidad, married a farmer's daughter named Virginia Collins. Together, turning an old movie theater into a restaurant with $5,000, a delicious chili recipe, and one guiding philosophy.
Treat people the way you want to be treated, Al, and you'll be okay.
While Ben passed away in 2009, Virginia, now 90 years old, carries on the legacy with her 3 sons and their wives. The original counters and seats here retaining a rich history. The leaders of the civil rights movement planned but also had to eat, and places like Ben's Chili Bowl was really important.
It was very important. I had the pleasure in 1963 of sitting with Dr. King a few times in here. 5 years later, he was assassinated.
Across the nation in D.C., riots broke out, but Ben's escaped unscathed.
It was because of this community we had here.
Is it true both police and protesters came here to eat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Side by side.
Is that a kind of a lesson that a good chili half smoke can go a long way to peace?
Well, food always brings people together.
Over the years, that sense of community helped Ben's survive neighborhood struggles with drugs, a subway construction that shut down the street for years, and most recently, the pandemic.
When I started to get these letters, I love Ben's Chili Bowl. Please accept my $25 money order. And then there were the $50 and the $100 check, and it just kept coming. And we were able to take all those funds and prepare box lunches.
How does that feel when times are tough? Your community and beyond gave back to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It just makes me so proud and think, wow, did I do something right?
Virginia's eldest son, Sage, isn't surprised.
Mom's love for people is so genuine, and Mom, at 90 years old, this keeps her going.
I'm watching her right now going from table to table.
Since 1958, that's Mom.
Also unchanged, their famous chili half smoke. And I guess since I'm behind the counter, I want to learn how to make the famous Ben's half smoked chili.
Let's try. Okay,
right.
So here we go. So we start with the bun.
Start with a bun.
We grab a nice half smoke.
Now, where does the name half smoke come from?
It's a mixed pork and beef sausage, and so it's kind of half smoked, and it's mixed pork and beef, and there you go, right? The classic is this mustard onions and chili. Now we take a little bit of fresh onions here, and just kind of spread them on down. And now, here you go.
Resistance.
The homemade spicy secret recipe chili sauce. Only the family knows the recipes. Take this, and just rice and even,
Wow.
and boom, there you go.
Oh, man.
How is that?
That's great.
There you go.
You have been called the matriarch of Washington, D.C.
Well, that's not a title I gave me.
Well, but a matriarch, a mother, nurtures, feeds,
Yeah.
gives support,
Yes.
and you've done all that.
Anybody should be able to do that.
But can everybody do that and give them a half smoke with chili?
Thank you, Al.
Wow.
Man.
I mean, it is literally the history of Washington, D.C. People that come there from all over the country. There were people there from about 10 different states when we were there.
I used to live 2 blocks north of Ben's Chili Bowl. I spent a lot of, especially late nights, in Ben's. One of the things I always loved about that place, you'd go in there, young, old, black, white. It was just, to her point, the great unifier.
That's right. And by the way, they ship.
And
That's right. You go on their website, you ship,
listen,
and these are fantastic. You get the
This
chili,
worth getting.
you get the hot smoke. It's all
Look, mine's
good.
almost gone. I stopped eating it so that I have a little bit left. This your little bit here. Now I can go back to eating it.
Please offer her another round of applause while she says a few words.
So I have the history.
So we just want to say thank you so much, Mrs. Ali, for all you've done for DC, for everybody who's had the pleasure of meeting you, being in your presence. And so this is the Do.ITChange Legacy Award, because I don't know anybody who has navigated more change than you. So, you hold the microphone.
Wonderful to be so recognized, and especially here today. It means a lot to me. I've enjoyed my 68 years. I've been pretty bold, yeah. Having the privilege of serving people from all walks of life, and now from all over the world.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to serve people and to serve the public, and to have been there in the happiest times with Dr. Martin Luther King coming in to plan his march on Washington in 1963, and then coming into my chili bowl and me having time to sit with him a few times.
Yeah.
Having gone to his march in 1968, when he brought 250,000 people there.
Let's switch your mics. Apparently they can't hear. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, is that better? Yeah. He brought 250,000 people to protesting for the injustice of our people. And that was a wonderful day, but Ben and I were there for that. But then 5 years later, he was assassinated. a very sad time. And our community was very upset, cried. But then there were some people that were so frustrated, they took their frustrations out on our beautiful, proud, classy, self-supported community. So they put a curfew in place for 3 nights. We were the only place that was asked to remain open during that curfew time, which was very scary, but we'd been there 10 years by that time, and the community knew that if we could help anybody, we did. So we were able to live through that comfortably. And like Al said, we served the police officers, the first responders, and the activists as well. But after that was over, the street went downhill for a while, a long while. And then, of course, we had the COVID, but we also had the pleasure of being there to welcome our first African-American president. Yeah, when he was elected president, and 2 weeks before the inauguration, the first place he came to eat when he moved to Washington was Ben's Chili Bowl. So it's been a wonderful experience for me, and it still is. Will be 93 in December. But I still enjoy being down there, meeting my guests and meeting people from everywhere. But I thank you so much for today. This has been wonderful. Thank you again, Arte.
Thank you. And one of the things I want to make sure that we do recognize is that during those 1968 riots, Union Street used to be called Black Broadway, and Ben's Chili Bowl was the only business that was not burned down on Black Broadway. And that just shows the significance of that business and the contributions that they made to the community. So that is just such a wonderful, wonderful
And one
legacy.
other thing, of course, is I've always had wonderful team members. Couldn't do it without the team members. And more importantly, had 3 sons. So my family joined me. All 3 sons and 2 of my daughters-in-law. So, here we are in a minority family, African-American family, that can show people that you can work together and build a legacy. Yes.
It is such, I think, a wonderful blessing also to show these 4 generations that are on the stage right now of women, and we're all going through different changes, all different evolutions, and here you are, the matriarch of DC, who's gone literally through it all. And so we can just only give you a round of applause. Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
All right. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Oh.
So at this point, would you like to ask your questions for Janine? Yeah? Okay, so I'm going to come down. In these comfortable heels. Okay, we have a question here.
Well, sure.
I'm going to come over here as quickly as I can.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is fantastic. I love the conversation around change. I'm a military veteran, military spouse. We've moved, thank you. We have moved 17 times, and I have never had change training. And I didn't even know if I was doing it right. We 3 kids. Our daughters are first year at Howard. And we have 2. Oh, okay.
Oh gosh, that's
Well, Aggie Pride, back to y'all. Okay. So my husband's still active duty, and this was the toughest transition for all of us. Our kids, we've really had a tight-knit family, but with our daughter going to college, our sons doing what they're doing in high school, trying to figure out, this was the most difficult transition. And I can, first of all, just a slight plug, I could totally see a pathway where this should be on military bases. because this is a phenomenal. I've never had a framework for change.
Right.
You just do the thing. You move, you pack up, the truck comes, you pack up everybody. And the thing that I found the most is I have to get the kids settled, get them acclimated. My husband already has his name on the door, so he's got a ready-made circle. But meanwhile, I got to figure out where I fit in a new community, making new friends. And you don't make friends as adult women. You know what I mean? Like, there's a way, but it's just not as easy.
It's easy.
And so before I know it, we're moving every 2 years. So what would you say is how would I get myself together so that I can assist my children in the things that they are navigating? They have a whole separate world. I've never been a military kid.
Yeah.
And so they have their own set of tools that they use. How would this apply to them as children
Absolutely.
and teens?
Yes, thank you so much. Great segue. First of all, I want to say thank you for your service and for your husband's service. I know that it is extremely difficult to move so much. One, there's no right way to navigate it, right? So I want to say that you've done a great job. You have grown children who are navigating their spaces, right? You supported your husband, and here you are looking great as ever, and you were doing the thing. So I want to start there. In addition to that, I believe for you, just being aware, right, of the challenges. And I think that's a lot of what we don't do in the changes, right? Be honest with how we're feeling, being honest about the reality of the situation. That's a lot. 17 moves, that's a lot. And actually acknowledging that and giving life into that and saying, I have done a lot. I've been going through this space. I've been navigating and pivoting and maneuvering. But honestly, just saying, I haven't given myself enough space to feel what's actually happening, or I haven't given myself enough space to honor what I need and what I want. So that would be my first thing, is take time to figure out what you need, right? I believe being a mom is being a leader. Right. And oftentimes in my corporate leadership trainings, I talk about when you're leading a team through change, you often neglect the fact that you also are navigating a change. Right. So you often find yourself, you're trying to help your team members, in this situation, your kids, you're trying to help them navigate all these different transitions while neglecting to give yourself that grace and space to say, I am also navigating something as well. So that's really important for you to acknowledge. Right. As far as the plug for the kids, I'm actually working on a kids workbook, right? So that I'm expecting to be finished at the end of April. I believe if we can get children understanding what's normal as they navigate life, as they go through all these different changes and transitions, if we can catch them early and give them a method, a framework to help them understand what they're thinking, what they're feeling. Children, again, if you're moving, they feel like, oh, I'm leaving my friends. Right? You guys keep doing this, so you keep moving us, right? And they always feel like they don't have a choice, that it's being done to them, right? And they have no choice in it. So one of the main areas that I want to focus on for the children is you always have a choice, right? Now, of course, they can't choose to live by themselves at 13, right? But they can choose with how their mindset, right? How they choose to deal with the change and say, you know what? I can look at this. It's happening anyway, right? How can I make this comfortable for myself? What makes it uncomfortable for me, right? Why don't I want to do this? And what steps can I take in my new environment, in my new space, to make this a comfortable space? So helping children understand it doesn't matter what the change is, they always have a choice. So that will be coming out. So I'll be happy to share that with you, right? Is helping kids navigate change from early on. I'm doing 2 workbooks. One will be from ages 7 to 7 to 12, and then 13 to 18. So.
And if I could, just taking a step and being in this room tonight, and you even being here, is a major step. And the fact that you're here being transparent and showing your vulnerabilities is already doing so much for yourself and for your children. And then getting involved in groups, organizations, youth groups for your children, whether it's a community center, a church, or any activities when you're in a new environment. And that's always been really helpful for me, who has also had to move with children as well. So I can completely understand.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
So as we have another question, I just want you all to know that the floor is open and you can ask anyone a question that is on that stage. So take advantage of the legends that are on that stage. Okay, our next question.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Vanessa Butler Andrew. Like many of us here, I wear multiple hats. I am a director of the East Coast chapter of Tuskegee Airmen. Some of you may know that yesterday was Tuskegee Airmen Commemoration Day, which is the 85th anniversary of the Tuskegee experience. I speak from that vantage point. One of my other hats, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, right? But some of you who know accents would also hear the Jamaican side. So I'm Jamaican Trini. May I cover everything from north to south, all right? Yes. So through my journey as a female, African American, Caribbean American, female entrepreneur, operating in very male dominant spaces, I've always had to be resilient. Mrs. Ali, again, thank you so much for all you have done. I really just want to acknowledge that, really, truly. And I think of your sense of resiliency and that of your family and, the business and that you've continued on and expanded it out over the years. So I think from that vantage point, how do we address change in times when we are being minimized, marginalized, trying to be erased? And Mrs. Ali, I would love for you to perhaps take that first, piece of that, because when we think about the riots and the time and your survival and your sense of resiliency, I would love to hear your insights on how we navigate in a time of change such as this.
You heard that? Name a little bit. Okay, how you navigate in a sense of resiliency after the riots and all of the change that we've had to navigate over the last 50, 60 years.
Well, good food
Good food.
brings people together. And I was taught as a little girl, when you treat everybody the way you want to be treated, you will never have a problem. So I am energized by people. I don't care where they come from or what they look like or what their intellect is like. Everybody has a story. And I enjoy hearing the stories of my guests, and I share my story. I just enjoy people. So when you have a business, it's like your child. Nobody loves it like you do. And you work hard to keep it that way. And I brought my sons up from the time they were in junior high school, working and taking care of our guests. So I had no idea that they would join me in the end. After my husband died, one son is a lawyer, but all three sons worked for Ben's Chili Bowl. And all three are married, and two of my daughter-in-laws are with me as well. So it had become a family affair, and that did help to keep us in there as many years. I couldn't do it all by myself at this point. But I have Vita sitting right here. She does she's a big part about Chili Bowl. She's a big part about Chili Bowl. She is the marketing person. She does everything. But then all of my family will do everything. If the floor needs to be swept, they sweep the floor. Whatever needs to be done, that's what they do. So Vita is the branding person. She won't let me step out of line either. And so thank you all so much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Vanessa, may I just add on to that? Because what I heard Miss Ali say is you stay true to yourself. Right. And that's what I got from that message is really that, they were true to Ben's Chili Bowl. They brought in the family and supported, the family through it. They didn't change who they were. And so with everything that's going on around us, you stay true to who you are. Right. If, kids or family or whoever, we stay solid in that foundation. So that's really the message that I got. I don't know if you got
the same thing. Stay true, your authentic self.
Correct.
Stay true to your mission.
Yep.
Stay true to your authenticity. And I believe that's the best way to remain resilient, especially during these challenging times.
So we do have a question from one of our men in the audience.
All right.
Handsome men, please stand up.
I guess we have a question from a man. My name is Kurz, and I guess my question would be, what can men do to be aware of women while they're going through these changes in this do-it-change room?
Sure. I appreciate the question. Yes.
Same here. Same here. Great question. Thank you.
And I will say, start by coming in these rooms, right? And that's a very honest and real question. So all the different events that we've had the pleasure of having a few lucky men join us, right? And they've been able to actually now be privy to these conversations and hear other women. A lot of times when you're in a relationship, the woman that you're in a relationship with, we know a lot of times that conversation, doesn't resonate. But hearing other women speak to the challenges and the things that they're going through, and just being here and being able to be present, I think is a huge first step. In addition to that is, again, acknowledgement, right? Acknowledging what women do have to go through, right? And I think that's a huge part that we often miss. And even as women, we don't do that. And I think you were talking to that earlier. As women, being able to acknowledge and say, wow, you look great. I know you're having a hard time. Let me know how I can help, right? What's bothering you today? So it's not just a you as a male thing, but it's also just support, right? Asking the question, offering the support, saying, what can I do to help? And like I said, coming in this room was a really good first step. Okay. Yeah.
Completely agree. Yes.
Thank you.
So I do
And
have
buying some jewelry won't hurt. either.
Exactly. Real jewelry.
Real
So I also have a question from a young, beautiful doctor in the audience.
Great.
So my name is Ife. I'm a dermatologist and I run a small business in DC, well, in the DMV.
Yeah.
And something I struggle with often is sometimes I see the change clearly and I know the direction that I need to take my business. But then my team, they are overwhelmed, confused, and sort of just not on board with the plan. What can I do to help others see my vision for change?
Absolutely. So this is a plug that I'm making. We have a change assessment. So you will see it's around, that's a huge point, right? People navigate change differently. People respond to change differently. And oftentimes, again, we have a one size fits all, right? Especially from a leadership perspective, whether you're the one making the decision or decisions are being handed down to you, we know that there's an end goal, right? This needs to be done and it needs to be done by this date. If we take the time to understand how our teams navigate change, then we can more effectively work with them through the change and tap into their strengths, right? So the change assessment has 8 change archetypes. So I'm just going to give you a quick example. An analyzer is one of the change archetypes. So that's somebody that they need every single detail. They're going to look at every single scenario before they feel comfortable moving in a change. One of their challenges or hurdles is that sometimes they get paralysis, right? Because they just need more information all the time, right? So that's
Guilty as charged.
Yeah. That's right. And then there's an activator, right? So this is another change type. And this is actually my change archetype. I move. I need top 3. Don't give me too much information. Like at all. It's like once I get too much information, I've tapped out. I didn't hear half of what you said. I was already on like, what steps am I going to take, right? So if you understand that about your team, then you can say, okay, I know this person, they need information. I have information to give. I'm going to get them on this part, right? If I don't have all the information, I say that up front. Like, I know I don't have all the information to give you, but this is what I do have, and these are the steps we need to take. An activator, again, don't give me A through Z. Be like, you need high-level top 3. Now I need you to start taking some action, right? So again, when you understand your team, it's very similar to communication styles or personality types, right? But in change, people do not default to their regular personality, right? Because now we're talking about stress. We're talking about all different aspects, right, that come into a situation of change. And that's why the change archetype assessment can be extremely helpful. So get your team to take it. I'll work with you on it.
As a patient of Dr. Rodney at Eternal Dermatology, plug,
Yeah.
I find that, it's a well-run business. So it's very interesting to hear that question.
Yep.
So we'll go to another gentleman in the audience.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Golden.
Hi, Golden.
I am very proud to also be releasing my first book at the end of April. Specifically, it is my experiences of changing by motivating myself through depression and procrastination.
Great. Wow. That's amazing.
And I've done it in a fun way, which is a futuristic action story.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah.
My question is for Ms. Hubbard. I have greatest respect and admiration of your vast leadership role. So we talked about activators and analyzers and your role. How do you transition from planning to doing?
Great question, because as Janine was talking about activator and also analyzing, I'm guilty of, but I do both.
Yeah.
I move fast. But I also want all the information. So it really depends on the situation and a case by case situation. But generally, I take the time to assess and I look at, depending on what the end goal is, and I share with my team. I believe in delegating. Don't feel like I can do it all. Sometimes I do, and I try to do everything. And then I realize, no, I have a team I can trust. And so while I'll analyze some of that information, and then I look at, okay, what are the 3 things we can accomplish this week? We can't do everything. We have a small budget. We have a small team. But what are the 3 things we can do that we can feel really good about? And we do it and we achieve it. So take your time, as you mentioned, baby steps, but focus on maybe not 15 things you can do, but the 3 things you can do. And you analyze those, but then move, and you can get it done. But congratulations on your book. That is quite an accomplishment. So thank you.
So I do have a question. As it relates to procrastination, where does procrastination fit in the Do.ITChange method? And then can you also expand on your Do It collective?
Absolutely. So procrastination is in that front part. So as I was explaining, so there's the do, which is the planning phases, right? So a lot of people are really good at planning, but they're not good at acting, and vice versa, right? People are good at acting, but not planning. And so the framework really walks you through the entire space. Procrastination generally is on that front end, the planning part, right? And ownership is the piece that helps you get to that other side, right? So ownership is once you have necessary information, not all the information, because oftentimes you're not going to get all the information, right? So enough information for you now to make a decision as to how you would like to move and what steps you would like to take. So again, when we take a step back and think through that process, it's like, okay, so I've done due diligence. I did my discovery, right? I've made a decision about how I want to move. And in that space, ownership, you determine what your next step will be, and implement is when you actually start taking those small steps, right? So yeah, I think that yes.
No, that's great.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank
Sure.
you. And I do have a question from a gentleman in the audience.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Sherlin, and I have a question.
Hey, Shirley.
First and foremost, I want to say thank you guys for having this conversation. It's very enlightening and also educating, particularly for men to understand the space and how one can advocate for women, particularly in the corporate sector. That would be my question, and be a question for perhaps all 3 on the stage.
Sure.
How can men advocate for women, particularly behind closed doors when they're in their boardroom?
I appreciate
This question I got from Carla Harris, as you guys would know, who's a big
Yep.
proponent for women's rights
Oh, thank
in the
you.
workspace.
Oh, that's an amazing question. And actually, I think I'm gonna pass this on to Chinyere, right? Because you're more in the corporate space than I am right now. So please.
And it's how men can advocate for women. Just continue to show up and be there on the good days and the bad days. Celebrate the wins, but also celebrate the losses. But look at losses as lessons, not necessarily losses. And don't be afraid to, if you feel like you're going to fail fabulously, if you're going to fail fabulously, and make sure as a man you're there to support, to pick the woman up. But I'd love to also hear from Mom Ali. How can men advocate for women, and how did your husband advocate and support you for 58 years?
Well, they encourage you, first of all. They have to encourage you and be a partner, although I didn't think mine was that kind of partner, because he thought I could do the chili bowl, the children, and the household chores.
Yep.
But I mean, I didn't mind doing that. I'm a nurturing person, and I would get up in the morning and prepare a proper breakfast and sit down and have the family breakfast and all of that, and go to work and then pick the kids up and go back to home and homework and all that. But I think they can do that by being supportive just being supportive and showing them that you believe in them and encourage them never to give up. When they're doing something that is serious to them, don't ever give up. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you cannot. You know, if somebody else can do it, you can do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Coming from Mrs. Ali. I mean, what an
Yes.
inspiration. Yes.
Nice.
Indeed. Yes.
So before we go to our last question in the audience, I think that is such a great question, and I'm really appreciative of the men in the audience who are looking to be allies and supporters. Because after being at that Microsoft conference, literally when you're one of very few women, you're getting stepped on, pushed out the way, people are just going over you. And so I really appreciated there was one gentleman when I got overlooked deliberately, being the Black woman that was there, there was actually a white gentleman who spoke up for me. And he actually was an ally. Even though they were trying to skip over me to go to him, he immediately gave space and was like, oh no, are we cutting you? My apologies. And the person who was doing it just kind of stood there and looked at me. And I knew that he was thinking about what it is that he had done. And because that man gave me space and allyship, it literally was like an aha moment for me, and I think also for him. And so as women, you know, when we do have men that support us in this area, we also need to be, you know, thankful and appreciative of them as well. It's a teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work.
It's huge. Absolutely. Thank you.
It is.
Guyanese.
Partnership, for sure.
Guyanese in the room. Guyanese. Okay, last question.
Hi, this is a question about the Do.ITChange method. Akila here, double bison, member of the Caribbean community here in the DMV. Janine, I wanted to ask about what the method says about like agility through like unexpected or unplanned setbacks. I used to think I was good at change.
Yeah.
But if I'm honest with myself and I assess and I say I thought I was going to change because I plan and then I have a plan and then I act and I do the things, right? But upon reflection, what I found is that I'm probably not very agile, which is sort of a paradoxical thing. Like, oh, I'm comfortable with change, but I'm not agile. It's a very difficult thing to wrap my mind around. So what does the change method say about agility and how you train agility when you're planning and there are expected things that happen, but then there are unexpected things that happen? How do you make the quick pivots? How do you do the resets? How do you pick yourself up emotionally, psychologically? So my question is about how the change method addresses that specifically.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, that is a great question. So oftentimes we think if we start acting, right, and moving quickly, that we're going to get there faster. What we have found, right, is that's not always the case. That if we don't do due diligence on the front end and ask, again, the right questions, and I think that's really the big key about this, right, is, again, not having a statement, you know, like when in a business, we say we have a vision statement or a mission statement, right? It's really supposed to accomplish something. There are those that are really deep vision statements, right, and mission statements that really mean something, that speak to the organization. And then there are those that just sound good. Right? So when you're trying to think of that end goal that you're trying to get to, really identify what that end goal is. It doesn't matter, again, if it's a change that you chose or you didn't choose, you're still trying to get somewhere, right? And I would liken this to GPS. You have to have a starting point and an end point, right? Agility will only happen if you get the most effective route, right? But the only effective route is being able to be mapped out. So if you don't know where you're starting, you don't know where you're going, we're not going to get there effectively. We're not going to get there in the most effective way, the quickest way, the most agile way, right? So again, doing due diligence, figuring out what your starting point is, being honest, the reality, right? And we can do that quickly. Once we develop the framework, right, and we continue using it, it happens much more quicker, right? Or much more quickly, than we're used to. Right now, again, we're just pulling and we're trying to learn something new. We're trying to train ourselves something new. The more you use the method, it actually happens very quickly that you're like, okay, wait, let me ask myself this question. How do I feel about it? What's my starting point? What's my end goal? It happens very quickly. And then now you're able to make a decision much quicker than you would have before. So I would say training yourself, right, to again identify those things. What's my current state? How do I feel about it? What's my endpoint? Will help you be able to map out those steps. And you said you're able to map out, right? You're able to plan. But I think once you put those pieces together, you'll be able to move more effectively and much quicker to get to that other side. So, yeah.
Asking the right questions.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your time for being here. But of course, we have one last award to give this evening, and that is to our guest, Chinyere Hubbard.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contributions to the DMV at large.
Thank you so much.
And for being here. Thank you all for attending. And of course, we have festivities after, but I'll let you go ahead and close that out.
Yes. So I just want to say thank you for everyone coming out. I know it was a challenge, especially with this rain. I had so much hope yesterday. The weather was so beautiful. I was like, yes, it's going to be amazing. And then today I woke up and like, no, what happened? So I appreciate everyone taking the time to come out, for supporting. Again, everybody has the book, so I expect everyone to read it. I'm going to call you personally. No, I'm kidding. But please go into your gift bags. And we are now about to go into the next stage, which is party, which everybody who knows me knows I love to do.
Collective?
So, yeah.
Collective?
Oh, yes. And yeah, the Do It Change Collective, we are going to be launching it. So we ask you to please join the wait list. We talked about community. And so it's an opportunity for all of us who are navigating change, which is everybody, to join the collective. So we are starting again a whole mission. We want to make impact. Again, we want to look at change differently, and change the context and the conversations around change. So please join the wait list. It's in your in the program. You can scan the QR code. There's also millions of QR codes, so scan all of them and figure them out. No, I'm kidding. But it will tell you everything about the change method, what we have to offer, workshops that are coming up. And one such workshop actually is going to be about navigating career shifts. So I think it's very timely, right? Because so many of us are going through the career shifts. So all of that is in there. So please take a look. And any questions, you also have my card. So please feel free to email. And again, thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Yes. And then don't forget, you could also have your book signed over here with Janine right after. So thank you again for being here. Give yourselves a round of applause, please.